This next story I'm going to tell is a special thank you to Stefano. It's called Crying Wolf. There were these two best friends, Anne and Brian. They hung out all the time, and Anne liked to make things up a lot of the time. She was very much into monsters and the occult, and Brian was open to most things and really just liked Anne very much. They were also neighbors right next door. One day after a field trip, Anne and Brian were talking in the library. And Anne was talking about this conspiracy theory that she came up with about how the animals were really once human. And they were made animals by an evil source. And Brian was like, okay, Anne, I believe you. But she was dead serious. She really believed this. But then, when they were at the library, Anne started to look from side to side as if she could see something, and Brian, of course, was very concerned because he liked her very much. "What are you looking at?" he asked. She told him she could see things from the corners of her eyes. She could spot these things that just kept moving. She thought that they were maybe demons after her, gremlins. Brian laughed, but Anne didn't. She was dead serious. The next day, on the bus on the way to school, Anne was very jumpy. She kept seeing things out of the corner of her eye. Brian asked her if she was okay, and she said yes, but she was very nervous. That day at lunch, when she pulled out what her mother had packed her, it had little bites all over it. And she swore that she didn't know where they were from. All of the kids were making fun of her. But her argument was solid. If something had gotten into her lunch, demons, for example, they really wrapped it up so perfectly. It was very odd. After school that day, Brian came over to study with Anne, and they were at the table. And Anne was very jumpy once again, looking everywhere. She could have sworn that she saw things. It was very hard for them, and Anne tried to tell him the truth, that she kept seeing things, and that the night before when she was trying to sleep, that she felt like something was trying to get under the sheets with her and had scratched her. She showed him her leg. It had scratches all over it, and she had a bruise. Brian was very worried, and for a second, he saw something from the corner of his eye, too. But he thought, oh no, it's just getting to me. Anne's crazy, she's silly, she's telling these stories, getting in my head. But when he went home, he felt very concerned about her. When he went to bed that night, he had this sinking sensation that something was wrong. And their windows he could look across and see Anne's window, because they were neighbors. And he could see that her light was still on. And he thought, it's not too late. Let me go check on her. I'm gonna go tap on her window, see if she's okay. So he snuck out his window, went across the lawn to Anne's house. And he didn't want to get her in trouble either, because her parents were a little worried. They're, young. He tapped, but all of a sudden he could see all these shadows in the room. Something was coming after Anne, and he could do nothing. It was exactly what she had described. It was like his goblin things. And he ran back home. He didn't know what to do. He felt like a coward. All the lights went black in her room. He laid in bed, shivering, not knowing what to tell his parents. Who would believe him of such a story? The phone rings in the background. You can hear his mother on the phone. Something was definitely wrong over at Anne's house. Brian's mother comes in the room, asks him all these questions about if he knows where Anne went. She was planning on leaving. And of course not. He couldn't tell what he had just done. No one would believe him. So his mom says that they're going over to Anne's house to see what's going on and for him to stay home. But there was nothing he could do. So he sits in his room feeling pathetic, with the lights off, looking outside, wondering how he could possibly help Anne. And he sees these little footprints on his windowsill. His window's still open, you see. And all of a sudden he sees something from the corner of his eye. No one knows what happened to Brian. But oh, did he disappear.